because I realized, listening to a lot of the gentlemen, that is something that is confused or confusing to them for some reason, right? Then we're going to go into label hype, and we're going to go into prison hype. All right. Then we're going to go into spiritual alchemy, cartel spiritual alchemy. Remember, I spoke to you guys before and I promised you a lesson on alchemy. Okay. I promised you a lesson on alchemy, and it's perfect for me to tie it in right here and right now. Then we're going to talk about the spiritual laws Freemasons can recognize clearly. Okay. There are certain spiritual laws that we can see, and it will explain to you, it will show you why before I was just a fan of Cartel's music, and since he came out, I'm an actual fan of the person. There are certain laws that we can clearly see. Then we're going to go into what is impact versus what is influence. This is another foundation and building block that I find a lot of people, no offense, a lot of people are getting confused. Now, I did an explanation of this, what is impact versus what is influence, on one of the platforms before, right? You guys tell me if you can still hear me. Tell me if you can still hear me. So I don't want to keep talking if you guys not hearing me. I'll wait. Somebody type and tell me if you can hear me or not, you know. Loud, good, good. Right? So now this is another, I spoke about this on one of the platforms before, the difference between impact and influence. Now, of course, you know, there's a lot of men in the space that probably don't like to hear women talk. That is their dysfunction, right? So maybe it went over their heads, right? Or maybe because of the fact that a lot of times we're rushing to talk, a lot of times people don't listen. So now I am here and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to explain it clearly again so you can go back for your own reference, right? And go back over it as you want. Take a picture, do whatever you need to do. And then I have a word of love and protection to all of you guys in the vlogging community, because I checked with my lawyer friend about certain things, who is very litigious, right? And there's just a warning out there, because I don't want to see any harm come to any of the vloggers in our Jamaican community. Okay, good. Now, what is dancehall? This is foundational and a building block. Now, for my Canadian and American friends that are going to be tuning in, you need to understand and respect the fact that our dancehall is not just music. So when you run to me and you tell me about, oh, this new dancehall artist in Japan that can barely talk English, that can mimic our sound, or, oh, all these people who are dancehall artists, okay, fine. Dancehall is more than just music. Okay? Dancehall is more than just, they can mimic our sound all they want, but they don't have that thing that makes it dancehall. Why? Dancehall is more than just music. It's a function as a complete cultural system. It's a way we speak. It's a way people dress. It's a way people move, people gather, people signal status, people express resistance and preserve identity, especially across the diaspora. That's that word again. We're going to go deeper into it soon. A lot of people don't know this. My great-grandmother, Miss Chin, she had a wholesale, and she also had a boombox, and she had a club. My business side, yes, I do get it from my father's side, the Chinese side of my family. My mother's side, I get the academic and the kindness, right? But she was a businesswoman, my father's grandmother. And so dancehall and music has been in my blood from both sides, right? She had a boombox, and the culture has been passed down. Now, dancehall is a social space. It's not just a sound. And I want you guys in America and Canada to understand this. Dancehall began as a physical gathering, not a recorded product. Sound systems, street dances, yards and community spaces. Before streaming chats or labels, dancehall was where people met. It was where reputations were made. It was where messages spread. The music itself was the vehicle. It was not the destination. So I want you guys to understand that when you talk about dancehall, you're not just talking about a sound. You're not just talking about music. It's an actual way of life. Let's continue. Let's prove it. It's a language engine. Why? It creates slangs that enters daily speech. It sets tones and attitudes. It codifies humor, insults, flirtation, and dominance. Okay, here's a one about insult, right? My mother the other day, because she liked to see my mermaid footage, she said, Julia, my people start calling you fish. I had to laugh. Not worry about that ignorance, right? And everybody know I'm straight as an arrow, right? But at the same time, it's funny because guess what? In dancehall, when they call you fish, everybody know what that means. All right. So it codifies humor, insult, flirtation, and dominance. All right. Now, if the music stopped tomorrow, guess what? The language of dancehall would still live on. Dancehall was the voice of the inner city people, right? This tells you that it's cultural infrastructure. It's not just entertainment. So all you people in Tokyo, Japan, and yes, I understand, and I'm glad that when my Canadian and American friends, and I'm not shunning you, don't get me wrong. When you send me all of these clips saying, "Oh, Julia, look dancer. Oh, Julia, look that," I understand it's because you like me and you want to show me that you're trying to understand my culture. But if you really want to understand my culture, don't send me things that try to mimic it. We see it as flattery, yes, but that's not dancehall. Dancehall is more than entertainment. Let's continue. No, dancehall always dictates how people dress, how success is displayed, how confidence is visually expressed. Chains, the clocks, the colors, the silhouettes, the swagger. They're messages, they're not trends. Fashion in dancehall, even if you think about the olden days, without dating myself too much, the Clash days too. Think about Shabba Ranks. Think about Ninja Man. You see me before you hear me. You see me before you hear me. All right? Blessings, 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 TG Media. Right? See me before you hear me. That's fashion in dancehall. Right? Dancehall answers questions like who has the power? Who commands respect? Who is authentic? Right? Masculinity, femininity, sexual agency, and status. It's a mirror of real life power dynamics. It's not escapism. Right? Now, dancehall often reflects our class struggle, our policing, the poverty, the survival, the authority, and the resistance. I want you to remember this. This is why this is a building block, because this will tie into the argument of prison hype, and it will also tie into the argument of label hype, right? Even the party songs exist with a context of limited resources, social pressure, community tension. And that is why, that is a part of Bounty Killer's legacy. Even with the songs, anytime we're hungry again, Yagasi, you know what, right? Silence on politics would actually be unnatural for dancehall. Dancehall comes from people navigating power and poverty daily, right? Now, dancehall is also an economic strategy. For many people, dancehall is a livelihood. It's a pathway out of poverty. It's a platform, well, without gatekeepers. To some extent, there are gatekeepers. In every listen, in every industry, there's a system. Don't let anybody fool you. Okay? So I should have put this with or without. So yeah, it creates DJs, producers, dancers, stylists, promoters, media personalities. It is an economic ecosystem. It's not just an art form. I want you guys to always remember this. Right? Now, for people like me who is outside of Jamaica, even though I go home every year, my home is still there, sometimes twice a year, dancehall is still a way to stay Jamaican. It's a way to pass culture to children. I get my nieces and nephews listen to dancehall all the time. And it's a way to remember home. In diaspora spaces, dancehall isn't optional. It's a cultural survival. Right? Good. Now, dancehall is also a living archive. Why? Because it records what people care about in real time, people. Dancehall is like a big history book. It records what people care about, what people fear, what people celebrate, and how society shifts. Long before anybody writes it down, dancehall documents it in real time. Now, you see, this is our dancehall queen for our American and Canadian friends. This is Spice, our dancehall queen. You can see what I talk about with the dress. You can see what I talk about with the attitude, right? And the beauty and the silhouettes. Okay? Dancehall isn't just music, it's language, it's fashion, it's politics, it's economy, it's identity, and it's memory playing out on a rhythm. That is dancehall. Good. Now let me show you my final insight with this. See a nice dancehall crowd here? If dancehall were just music, I want you guys to always remember this. It wouldn't spark debate. It wouldn't shape behavior. And it wouldn't survive generations. Dancehall lasts because it's culture in motion. Right? And music is only one of its tools. I want you to remember this because this is foundational. Right? Now, we're going to go into the meaning of diaspora. Right? Because I realize a lot of people are having problems with this meaning. So, I broke it down from the Greek word. The origin of the language diaspora, it comes from ancient Greek. Dia means across, through, or apart. Spora is seed, sowing or scattering. So basically, it literally means to scatter seed across places. So the diaspora, I'm actually part of the diaspora, even though I'm born and raised in Jamaica, grew up in Jamaica. Right now, I'm away from Jamaica. So the seed is scattered across the place. This is important with dancehall as well. Okay, so you need to remember this when it comes on to the label hype argument, as well as the prison hype argument. That's why we're covering it, because I want us to build on this. This is building blocks. Hold on, let me check on you guys. It's a rebellion. You guys can still hear me? Good? Good. Good. What it literally implies, when you hear diaspora, the mental image is not exile alone. It's seeds being spread. That matters because seeds carry their origin. It adapts to new soil. Listen to what I'm saying here. Seeds produce new growth. Seeds still trace back to the same source. An apple seed has everything in it that's going to make an apple. You plant it, it become an apple tree, then it went to fruit and become an apple. Everything is needed is in that seed. Yes, the environment matters, the soil matters, the sun, the rain, everything matters. But everything that is needed to become that apple tree and produce apple fruit is in that apple seed. Don't forget this. So, diaspora implies movement, distribution, continuity, regeneration, not disappearance. Do not water down diaspora. People say diaspora, whatever you want, whoever you want to pronounce it, don't matter. Okay? Don't water it down. Good. Again, historically, diaspora was used to describe a people who were scattered from a homeland, right? Yet they maintained their identity, their culture, their language, and their memory. So I am a part of the diaspora now because I'm scattered from my homeland, even though I go home every year and my home is still there. While living in multiple lands. The key point, they didn't vanish, they multiplied. Right? Now, why this word fits music so well? When it applied to our music genres, the homeland, Jamaica, that's the seed source. That's the source of dancehall. The diaspora is the scattered seeds, like people in New York, UK, Canada, Mexico, all over the world. New countries, that seed, dancehall is introduced to, that's new soil. The new sounds that develop from it, like the fusions, that's new branches. Don't water it down, because some art forms evolve into other art forms or become the source of other art forms, right? Like what them have reggaeton, right? So new sounds are new branches. Now, the genre itself remains rooted, but it evolves, but it gains reach and resilience. So again, diaspora literally means scattered seeds, so people who move across lands but carry their culture with them, planting it everywhere they go. Now, here is my final insight on this. Diaspora is not dilution. Don't let people tell you that. A culture without diaspora, it stays local. A culture with diaspora becomes immortal. That's why my Canadian and American and UK friends send me all of these things telling me that this is dancehall. And it's just people mimicking our sound. When the genre says, when they say a music genre's diaspora, what do they mean? When people talk about a music genre's diaspora, they're talking about the people, the communities, and the cultural movement that spread that same music, dancehall, beyond its place of birth, Jamaica, and how the genre evolves, how the genre survives, and how this genre grows outside of Jamaica, outside of the homeland. So just think about it. It's just the seed of dancehall being scattered everywhere. Good. So it's not just migration, it's cultural transmission. Don't forget that. Okay? We talked about this already. The music becomes a cultural anchor abroad. So example, Caribbean people living in New York, London, Toronto, Miami. They recreate parties, they recreate clubs, sound systems, and radio shows. Okay? Good. Now, new spaces where the music lives. Clubs, carnivals, basements, block parties, radio shows, YouTube channels, DJ circuits. University parties. Hey, I went to Howard. When they have dancehall parties, oh, we used to carry the music and everything. Right? Community events. Right? These become secondary homelands for the genre. Because why? We live everywhere. We're not going to leave with dancehall. We're carrying it with us because it's a part of our identity. Right? Now, outside of the home country, yes, the genre does adapt. And yes, it does blend with local sounds. So sometimes you have fusions. Sometimes it does change tempo, it does change language, and it does change delivery. Now, this can expand the genre's reach, or sometimes it creates tension with the original version, and people say, hey, that's not really dancehall, right? That's more dancehall pop. The diaspora is often where the fusion happens. Okay. Now, the diaspora too, it also encourages economic power, right? Because the diaspora communities often are the ones who buy the most music. These are facts. They sell out most of the shows. These are facts. You miss home, you're going to go to the show. That means that they support the artists financially. These are facts. And they push the music into the charts and algorithms. These are also facts. So diaspora audiences often keep genres alive when the local markets are small. This is why you cannot water down diaspora, right? The diaspora also elevates a genre globally. It changes how outsiders interpret the genre as well. It also decides which artist gets international attention. These are facts. Now, sometimes the diaspora success brings global respect and also commercial power, right? But there's dilution fears, that's true. And there's arguments about authenticity, that's also true. Listen, you're going to have one with the other. You can't take one without the other. Okay? It's going to happen. Okay? When people talk about a genre's diaspora, they mean the global communities who carry that music beyond its birthplace, keeping it alive, evolving it, and turning it into a worldwide culture. Without the diaspora, many genres will just stay local. The artist will actually hit a ceiling. These are facts. Now listen, this live here is not about feelings. This live here, you guys know how I do already. I'm very thorough and I'm very factual, especially when it comes to business, especially when it comes to dancehall. To put them together, this is the business of dancehall. I'm not dealing with feelings right now. I don't care how you feel about it. I'm telling you the facts of it, right? And without the diaspora, the cultural influence remains regional. That's why you hear some people laugh and say, oh, that's not going past the airport, right? So you can't say that in one breath and then water down the diaspora in another breath. Okay? Good. Yeah. So with the diaspora, genres go global, artists tour internationally, cultures enter fashion, film, politics, and academia. These are facts, right? Good. So a genre's homeland gives identity. That's true. Jamaica gives identity. The diaspora helps to give it longevity and power. Both are necessary. All right. Now we're going to get into the meat of the matter now. Label hype. People talk about label hype. Here's Mr. Sean Paul here. Listen, Sean Paul's success cannot be reduced to he had a label. Why? Because labels amplify success. They do not manufacture cultural connection. These are facts. Listen to me. A label is a business, right? They're not going to invest unless you're good for that business. Labels invest after momentum exists. If Sean Paul never have momentum, the label would not invest in him. Before labels heavily back an artist, number one, the artist has already shown market traction. I'm telling you the business side of it. It's not feelings, these are just facts. There is evidence of the audience response, the performance ability, and the record viability. Why? Why, Miss Julia? Why is that so? Because every business thinks about ROI. What is ROI? Return on investment. And as soon as you're not a good return for my investment, guess what? You get cut from the label. These are facts, not feelings. Now, Sean Paul didn't get successful because of a label. The label partnered with him because the success potential was already visible. Labels are risk managers. They're not talent creators. Not because you're going to a label mean that you're going to be successful. So, again, facts, not feelings. I don't want people to water down what Sean Paul has accomplished, right? Because the label took a risk on him. That's true. And we're going to go into what they did for him, but they didn't create his talent. These are facts. Now, number two, here's another point. The thousands of labels signed artists fail. Them fail every day. You know that. If labels guaranteed success, let me ask you this. If labels guarantee success, every major label artist would be a star. Why aren't they? The charts would be predictable and careers would be automatic. That doesn't happen, does it? No. Here's the reality. Most signed artists are dropped. Many of them never recover. They never recoup. Label rosters are full of forgotten names. These are facts. You guys check it out for yourself. I'm telling you the business of the music. Now, access to the world does not equal impact. Not because someone have access means that they're going to have an impact. We're going to go in that shortly. Using label backing as the reason for Sean Paul's success ignores how rare sustained crossover success actually is. And it is very rare. It is very, very rare. I'm telling you facts. This is not feelings. But we're going to go into what the label actually did do for him because the label did help. We can't go around that either. But we cannot water down Sean Paul's contribution to dancehall, or we cannot water down his actual talent. Because if he didn't have it, they wouldn't sign him. They wouldn't take that chance. This is money. And these are business people. Now, Sean Paul also had a unique skill set that labels cannot teach. What Sean Paul brought before the scale, before he signed, he had clear rhythmic vocal delivery. He had the ability to ride the rhythm smoothly. You cannot deny that. Cultural translation without erasing his Jamaican identity. This is before he went into all that fusions, right? Sean Paul did have onstage discipline and professionalism. If you're not professional, the labels are going to drop you. If you show up to work high and can't perform and forget your songs, the labels are going to drop you. He did have consistency and work ethic. Now, the labels can, and they do, they fund your promotion. Yes, they do expand your reach. They open doors. That's true. but they cannot teach you charisma. The label cannot teach you adaptability, right? Or cultural intuition. They cannot teach you that. And he had that. Good. Now, the global audiences did respond to Sean Paul, not the executives only. I should have put only. Sean Paul didn't become global only because the executives liked him. This is money. Nobody cares about. Listen, I like a lot of people. That don't mean that I'm going to invest in them. They're not good for my money. I like you. Great. You get a phone call. You get a happy birthday. That don't mean I'm going to put my money behind you. These people know money. He became global because DJs played him. These are facts. The clubs did react to him. If he had the reach and the club did not react to him, they would have dropped him. These are facts. Again, people, a lot of you may not like what I'm saying, but you know me, I don't care about approval, right? I care about giving you the truth. And this is the truth about business, and it's the truth about music and what that truth actually translates to. The crowds moved and the radio requests increased. Yes, it's true that the label can push a lot of him have the system behind him, but if it flop, it flop. Labels follow demand. They don't invent demand. Okay? These are facts. If audience don't connect, no label budget can force longevity. Again, these are facts. If the audiences do not connect, no label budget can force longevity. Now, a lot of dancehall crossovers failed, even with labels. History proves this point. Many dancehall artists, I'm not calling no name, you guys do your own research, I've done enough label. Many dancehall artists receive label deals, collaborations, and promotion. They never reach Sean Paul's height. Why? Why? You think him look scary alone? No. Timing has a lot to do with it, of course, with everything in business. But their sound didn't travel. Their delivery didn't translate. And their moment did not land. So there's a lot of things working for Sean Paul at the same time. It wasn't just the label. Don't just say it's a label, because then you'll be wrong and you sound like a dunce. No offense. But we need to start to look at things holistically. Remember, I always say to you guys, zoom in and zoom out. Don't just zoom in and miss the forest for the trees, because you're so involved, all you can see is trees, that you can't zoom out and see the entire forest. We need to look at things, especially with our dancehall culture, holistically. Zoom out. Sean Paul's success was exceptional. It was not just procedural. Right? Now, label support, it does not automatically equals to cultural authority. Yes, and I'm going to be fair here. The labels definitely did help Sean Paul. It helped him to scale internationally. It helped him to enter new markets. It helped him to maintain visibility. Of course. Anybody deny that is lie, they tell him. It wasn't only Sean Paul's talent alone. The label actually helped his talent to get the reach that it needed. These are facts. But the cultural role was never about internal dominance. That wasn't his cultural role. Or clash leadership. He said that he never even liked clash. He was just not good at it. Right? Or the language innovation. He never did much with that either. I'm going to talk about that next week, about the language and about his writing ability. That wasn't his mission. And labels don't decide cultural authority anyway. Cultures do. Cultures do that, not labels. Good. People often say, oh, Sean Paul had a label, Cartel didn't. That's why. That's why what? This is why the comparison fails. They were playing different roles. And I'm going to get into that next week. They were chasing different outcomes. And I'm going to go into that next week because I have charts for you. And they were measured by different scoreboards. And I have all of that broken down for you. So make sure you tune in next week for that. The label supports and explains his reach, not necessarily his relevance. Because if he had the reach and it was free, he would not have the relevance. These are facts. And I'm talking to you business facts. These are no feelings. A label can scale a career, but it cannot create one. Sorry, it cannot. Right? Only talent can create a career, a whole career. I don't mean a one-off. I don't mean a one-hit wonder. Lots of those around. I'm talking about a career that's sequential. Sean Paul succeeded because global audiences responded to him. These are facts, people. The label didn't make him connect, but it helped him to travel. If him never have that connection there, so the travel would not matter. The reach would not matter. It would just be a bigger reach of a flop. These are facts. Here is some fire truth for you, because I'm telling you all truths. All right? Good. Sean Paul's label helped accelerate his global expansion. Anybody tell you that it didn't? That's a lie. It also helped to provide his infrastructure. These are facts. But Sean Paul himself, the talent himself, provided the sound. Sean Paul himself, his talent himself, provided his discipline and provided the connection to the ears to make us want to move. Without the artist, the label don't have anything to sell. These are facts. Without the audience, though, the label has nothing to amplify. I'm going to say that again. Put it in your pipe and smoke it. Without the artist, the label has nothing to sell. Without the audience that's already there, the label has nothing to amplify. Now, that does not mean that a lot of Sean Paul's global reach didn't have to do with collaboration. I hear this argument, and it's very true. A massive part of Sean Paul's global reach is because of collaboration. These are facts. Anybody tell you any different is lie and telling. Now, we're going to break it all the way down with Miss BlueFire's fire. All right, everybody is there? Oh, blessings, everybody. Blessings, blessings. I'm not going to listen to the I'm not going to watch the tune right now, but I'm listening. I'm listening, right? Now, let's break it all the way down to with Miss BlueFire's fire. Right. Strategic features with prop stars. Yes, Sean Paul has consistently aligned himself with global pop artists who already had massive fan bases. These are facts, and it was just smart business. I'm telling you business truth. It makes sense. And that is what the label would want him to do to get back their money. These are facts. I gave you some examples. I made sure I went thorough for you because I'm doing this surgical because I don't want to hear the foolishness anymore. Beyonce, Baby Boy, that was Billboard #1. Sia with Cheap Thrills, Billboard #1, and that was also Grammy nominated. Dua Lipa, No Lie, still one of my favorite ones, right? Enrique Iglesias, you know who Enrique Iglesias is? That is the son of Julio Iglesias, one of my favorite musicians. Look him up. Anyway, Enrique Iglesias with the Bailando, that one was wicked, right? I heard that the other day when I was in Mexico. The Clean Bandit and Anne-Marie, the Rockabye, UK's #1. Now, these collabs introduce him to non-dancehall audiences. These are facts. People who might have never heard dancehall otherwise, these collaborations introduce them because why? It introduced him to their audience as well. Okay? These are facts. So, it was strategic. And yes, the collabs did help to power his global reach. And guess what? If I was Sean Paul, I would do that too because it's smart business. And if I was the label, I would get the hell behind that too because that's smart business, for my money. I'm talking to you about business facts here. Next. The genre blending. Global radio love. Global radio love is important, people. That's why a lot of people are trying to go commercial. Now, by Sean Paul jumping onto pop, by him jumping onto EDM, reggaeton, and Afrobeat adjacent tracks, he made himself versatile and radio-friendly worldwide. This helped his reach. You cannot go around it. Labels and radio stations, guess what? They love crossover hits because it's more money for them. It's more listenership for them. They fit more formats and they fit more playlists. I'm going to say that again, people. Labels and radio stations, they love crossover hits. Why? Because it make them more money. I would love it too. It fit more formats and more playlists. His voice became a global party stamp because he was safe dancehall. He was in a safe. They could understand him. It wasn't too patwa, right? And all of that. Any song with Sean Paul felt international. These are facts. We cannot go around it. Now, I don't want you gentlemen to ever forget timing. Sometimes when I listen to some of you talk, it's like you forget about the 2000s. And I know some of you are alive because some of you are older than me. I'm not even going to date myself. I want you to remember this. Go back in history with me. In the early 2000s, Atlantic Records and other major labels, they pushed him heavily into the international markets. They positioned him, you know, Miss Julia always talk to you about positioning. They positioned him as the Caribbean flavor in pop music. This was right when radio wanted something different. These are facts. Go back in your history and look at it again, right? He didn't just get collabs. He got the machine behind them. Yes, he got the machine behind the collabs. All right? He reinvented through collabs, right? No, after his initial solo run with the Get Busy and the Light Glue and the Temperature, that was his solo run. He did stay relevant by reinventing himself through the collaborations. While many dancehall artists plateau, you call it plateau. Sorry, not plateau. Sean kept charting. Why? Because he kept working with younger and fresher acts. Listen, that's just smart business. That's just smart. I'm telling you about the business of dancehall. There's one, I know a lot about dancehall and I know a lot about business, so I'm fusing them together. Right? Here's some more truth. Sean Paul's global reach is about 60 to 70% collab driven. And I took this from someone who works is a disc jockey in radio stations, an American one. And I won't quote him because he didn't want me to quote him. But you can research it yourself. Sean Paul's global reach is about 60 to 70% collab driven. His solo foundation made him a star, that's true. But his features made him a global icon. We cannot go around that. But guess what? He's still a global icon. Here's a bonus fire perspective. Without the collabs, Sean Paul would likely still be a legendary solo dancehall figure. He'll be like a Beanie Man and a Shaggy, and these are great men. But he wouldn't be seen as a global pop constant for over 20 years. And he is seen as a global pop constant for over 20 years. These are facts. You don't like it, don't take it up with me. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about this prison hide situation. Because just like I was fair to to Sean Paul, and I'm giving you facts and not feelings, I'm going to give you facts and not feelings about this prison hype situation with Mr. Palmer. Vybz Kartel's recent success is not prison hype. And why his story, his growth and transformation are the real drivers. Okay? We're going to go deep into it. Prison alone does not create longevity. And I'm going to go deep surgically into this. Prison alone does not create longevity. If prison hype was enough, every incarcerated artist would return bigger. They don't. Every free up movement, free this one, free that one, would translate into sustained relevance. It doesn't. Go back and look. I don't have to call name. I'm not going to call name. Because you see, as soon as I call name, I put it in a box and people are going to say, oh, why you use him? Why you never use that one? Oh, why you no, you go back and do your own labor, do your own research. Here's the reality of it. Many artists went to prison and returned forgotten. They returned out of touch with the culture. And they returned without momentum. Here's the fire truth from Miss BlueFire. Prison, yes, it's true. It can create attention. But it cannot manufacture impact. And we're going to go into impact and influence. But I want you to remember this. Here's the truth. Prison, yes, can create attention. But it cannot manufacture impact. Now, Kartel's relevance never stopped. Unlike most artists who disappear while incarcerated, guess what? Vybz Kartel, he continued to release music consistently. He continued shaping the language, the slang, and the themes. He still remained a reference point for younger artists. His success now isn't a return for you to say it's prison hype. It's a continuation of a presence that never really left, even though he was slowed down. Prison did take a lot from him, but he never really left, and he made it that way. We're going to go deeper. Now, the public, like Miss Julia, aka Miss Bluefire, yes, I talked about myself in the third person. That's fine. They don't like it. That's too bad. I am responding to transformation, not incarceration. I'm going to say this again. The public, just like me, we are responding to his transformation, not his incarceration. The incarceration is gone, long, and done. Right? We don't want to be tied to that memory. We don't want him to be tied to that memory. What people are reacting to today is his growth, is his reflection, is his change in his mindset, and his survival through adversity. Remember, what did I say dancehall was? Go back to the slides from before. That's why that was so important for me to do as a building block. This is dancehall, survival through adversity. This is why it hits, and this is why it's not prison hype. Audiences connect more deeply with redemption arcs, redemption song, right? Than controversy alone. There's a lot of controversy right now. I hear somebody else is in prison right now, that what they call name. You guys know who it is. I wish him would just stay out of trouble because he's very, 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 very talented. Not going to call him name, right? People don't celebrate jail. We celebrate what someone becomes after hardship. After hardship. This is why I told you I was always a fan of Cartel's music. Summertime is one of my favorite. Matter of fact, is my favorite song, one of the favorite songs for him. Right? I was always a fan of his music. But since he has come out and I've been watching him, I'm a fan of the person. And I'm going to go deeper into why. There's a lot of artists, because I'm not a fan type of person. I'm not a fan person. You never hear me call somebody like say, I'm a fan of this, I'm a fan of that. I appreciate people's music. That's why I can remain objective. I've never been a fangirl type of person, right? These are facts, and I'm going to be very clear about that. All right? I've been a fan of people's music, but this man here, with what I'm seeing, who he is, and how he has spent his time, I'm a fan of the person, and I'm going to go deeper into that because we're going to tie in some Masonic laws and some alchemy, which is what we practice. Okay? People don't celebrate jail. I'm going to say it again. They celebrate what someone becomes after hardship. That's not prison hype. No. He fought the system and outlasted the narrative. Cartel's journey was long. It was highly public. It was intensely scrutinized. But what mattered was his refusal to mentally collapse. His ability to remain creative and influential under pressure. His evolution beyond the version of himself that people once argued about. When Cartel came out, people expected him to be the same. Lots of people broke off friendships with him because he was not being the same person that they expected him or wanted him to be. These are facts. That story resonates across cultures, not just dancehall. That's why you find so much respect for him, even in hip-hop. It's not just about the prison. It's the transformation. It's the alchemy. It's the story. It's not the prison. It's not prison hype. Prison hype don't last this long. I'm going to prove some more to you. Next. This is what prison hype looks like. I know what prison hype looks like. Why? I told you, I've worked with a lot of people who come out of prison and jails. Prison hype is short-term, people. Cultural power is long-term. Prison hype looks like this, a spike in attention. Oh, he's out and free. Temporary sympathy. One-off viral moments. That's what prison hype look like. Cartel's current success looks like multi-generational relevance, diaspora-wide engagement, respect across old and new audiences. That level of response only happens when a person's story aligns with growth. That level of response only happens when a person's story aligns with growth is not prison hype. Listen, he represents resilience, not rebellion. Not anymore. Many artists are celebrated for chaos and for shock value. Them in a prison again, them out, them in a jail again, them about them fine with GUN, them fine with keys, them fine with this self-destruction. A lot of these artists, talented as they are, them always in trouble. Cartel is being acknowledged now for endurance, for his adaptation, for his mental resilience, and for his cultural contribution over time. Take a picture, come back to it. Give me credit though, because I know a lot of you men don't like women in the space. And a lot of times you like to lily down what we say, or take what we say and act like as if you came up with it and don't give us credit. Gentlemen, other gentlemen who like women and who appreciate our voices, please stand up for us when you see other men try to water down our thing, or when you see other men try to run an act and not give us credit. You have to be our allies, because some of them really do like women and really do appreciate our voice. Please be our allies, because the women in this space, they have good things to contribute, right? When I enter a space, I don't just make it good for me. I make it good for all the other women too. You can go and find out people in the tech space here in the breathalyzer space in Canada, right? I don't sing my own praises, but I'm telling you the truth. When I make it good, I make it good for everybody and for other women too. The women in the space, they have great minds too. They deserve time to talk, and sometimes then their space needs the touch of a woman. These are facts. Now, that distinction matters, especially to diaspora and all audiences. Remember, we talked about the diaspora. That's why we spoke about it, because it's a building block. Take a picture, do whatever you want to do. Vex if you want, vex too. I don't business. I'm not here for your validation. I'm here to tell you the truth. Now, so Miss Julia asked, so why other artists didn't experience this? Many artists who went to prison, they lost connection with the culture. They didn't evolve creatively. They returned unchanged, or they're stuck in the same narrative. Okay, he went to prison, great, whatever, what's new? But Cartel is different. Why? Cartel changed. He refined his voice. I'm going to go deeper into that and tell you why. He shifted how people interpret his legacy, even me. Even me. Growth is what separates comeback from curiosity. Okay? Growth is what separates it. Now, the audience isn't cheering ourselves. People like me, we're not cheering ourselves. We are respecting his journey. That's not prison hype. His current reception isn't free him because he went to prison. No, it's look how far this man has come. Look at what he survived. And look at how he still matters. That is earned respect. That is not hype. Sorry. That's earned respect, not hype. And we only got that because of his behavior and because of the alignment. And we're going to go into some of that spiritual facts that Masonic people should be able to see. Prison doesn't make stars, it exposes them. Many artists went in and they came out forgotten. Cartel came out changed, evolved, and still culturally relevant. His success, I'm sorry to tell you, is not about jail. His success is about resilience, growth, and a story that people recognize in themselves. Remember, we talked about what dancehall is. This quote is by me, Miss BlueFire. Talked about dancehall. Now, here is my thesis. This is legacy. It's not prison hype. Vybz Kartel's recent success is rooted in story, survival, and transformation, not incarceration optics. We want to forget about that, actually. Prison can create noise. It cannot create longevity. These are facts. Prison does not guarantee success. Here's a reality check for you. Many artists gone to prison, them come out, outpaced by the culture, forgotten, disconnected. If prison alone created success, the industry would be full of combat kings, and it isn't. These are facts. If prison alone created success, the industry would be full of combat kings, and it isn't. These are facts. Let me show you what prison hype actually look like. Again, I told you, sympathy spikes, free up moments, temporary streaming bumps. Temporary streaming bumps. That's what prison hype look like. What it lacks: sustained relevance, cross-generational respect, cultural leadership. Prison hype fades fast, people. Cartel's reverence didn't, and it won't. It will not. And I'm telling you this as a woman that sees far. I'm telling you this as a woman that sees far, and I'm going to explain to you why. This is not ego here. I'm not talking to you from ego. You can leave all of that testosterone to the men. I'm telling you from a woman that can see far. And a lot of women in the space, they have voices too, and you guys should treat them better. Now, this is the critical difference. Cartel continued to release music. He still influenced the slang and the tone. He shaped younger artists. His name never left the conversation, ever. He's still a reference point, and he's still a blueprint. This is not a comeback. This is continuity. He's continuing different. It's not a comeback. Right? The public response is about the change. This is what the audience is reacting to, people. His growth under pressure, his mental endurance, a visible shift in perspective, and his survival without the bitterness. Listen, some of the things that I see people say and online, or or some of those other people who are pundits that say certain things. If it was the cartel before prison, dog me no supper, and probably dog me am film on too. But you can see the change in his response, the survival without bitterness. People, Miss Julia included, we connect to transformation, not incarceration. Right? You fill in the blanks. The artists who lost momentum after prison. I'm not going to tell you which one. All right? The culture moved on without them. Right? They relied on sympathy instead of substance. I don't have to tell you which ones. You can think about it yourself. Connect the dots. They couldn't reconnect to a changed culture. There was no creative evolution. And their sound became outdated. You do your own work on that. Right? Cartel did the opposite. He stayed mentally active. He continued creating. He observed the cultural shifts. He adapted his voice and his focus. Here's the key difference. He evolved while other people were waiting. He evolved while others waited. He has earned respect versus morbid fascination. The morbid fascination is the prison hype. He has earned respect. Why does this matter? Because the audiences like me don't celebrate prison. We celebrate who someone becomes after pressure. This is dancehall. Go back to slide 1 when I describe what dancehall is. It's more than just music. It's also a mindset. It's also resilience. It's also overcoming. Right? That's a big theme in most of the dancehall hits too, even from Bounty Killer. Overcome, overcome. Cartel's reception today reflects respect, recognition, and cultural validation, not spectacle. It's not a spectacle. And you know what happened? Guess what? Prison took away a lot. If prison did anything for Cartel, it was negative. And I'm going to go into why that is. Hold on, let me check and see where you guys are. You can hear me? You guys can still hear me? Let me know, You guys can still hear me? Let me know. Because I want to know if you can still, but I don't want to continue chatting off my head to myself. Yes? Okay. Hi, Miss T. Thank you, Miss T. Thank you. All right. Prison. What prison took away? I hate to see this picture. This is when he was really sick. Right? What prison took away? Look at his eyes. You see the difference in his eyes? You guys need to be able to look at people's pictures. I look at Cartel's pictures often. And a matter of fact, some of my elder sisters in my lodge, right? because we can recognize when somebody is climbing that ladder, right? And we're going to go into the Masonic thing, but I even had some of my 33-degree brothers look at these things, and they all confirm that he is on the ladder towards enlightenment. That is why we are able to see certain things. Look at his eyes here, right? It's a different cartel now. Okay, different person. Now, going to jail, the setback. It restricted his creativity and freedom. He could no longer perform live or tour internationally if he had the chance. Studio access and communication became limited, of course. He was separated from the music industry as well. He had missed opportunities for global collaboration and live appearances. Now, guys, go back in the history books, pardon me. I want you to remember when he went back to prison, what was on the table for him. There was a lot. I had to go back and remember, right? The momentum slowed down during key years of dancehall international growth. Those were key years when he left. Those were key years of dancehall international growth. You can go back and check for yourself if you don't believe me. The media focused on his legal troubles, so the public narrative shifted from his music to his legal battles. Some brands and some platforms distance himself from him. These are facts, right? It also had an impact on dancehall image. Dancehall associated with violence and controversy in the eyes of the global media, it kind of did slow its ability to be accepted on mainstream platforms for other people. It did. Now, here are some key projects and opportunities that Vybz Kartel lost or slowed down because of his incarceration in 2011. There was international tours and live performances that were on the table. Before prison, Kartel was on the verge of launching full-scale international tours, particularly in the US, UK, and Africa. These are facts. There were talks about it. His US visa issues and later incarceration cut off those opportunities completely. It slowed down the global spread of his live performance, his brand. It limited his ability to connect with new marketplace in person. Of course, this is nobody's fault but his own. These are, I'm telling you facts, not feelings. It's nobody's fault but his own. But the fact of the matter is, it did happen. Right? The Gaza Empire and Portmore expansion. Kartel had built a powerful movement within the Portmore Empire. He was mentoring people like Popcorn, Tommy Lee Sparta, and Javinsky. Right? And he did plan to evolve the Gaza brand into a full-blown label and entertainment company. He did before he went to prison. Now, his imprisonment, it did lead to the collapse of the original crew. It did. It stalls Gaza's potential to become a major force in the Caribbean music business. It did. But I think it maybe was for the best in the long run, to be honest. Because a lot of people's true colors are being revealed every day. So God sees all. Maybe it's good to the original crew, some of those people, right? I won't call name, but some of those people who are coming out right now, maybe it was to show that them couldn't go with him where he's going to go in the future. These are facts. Again, it's not feelings, people. I'm telling you facts. God sees all. There's a reason. His imprisonment did help the collapse of the original crew. And as you can see from what you can see, all them chatty people on the media, some of them want B2 men. I don't need to call any names. Right? Come out and talking certain things. Maybe it's a good thing. Next. He had business ventures before going in. Right? He was exploring the rum and alcohol branding, even though he doesn't know. That's fine. The clothing and fashion extensions, that's fine. Right? Many of these were discontinued or it was heavily criticized after his arrest, which actually damaged his commercial viability. This is true. Now, remember, he did have teacher's pet. So he had the reality TV film projects. He did. And, you know, he was talking about doing a reality series, that same reality series there, and even a documentary in the future, right? Talking about the Gaza lifestyle. Now, this is my perspective on all what he lost. This was also probably for the best, right? Because now, when he's going back to his reality series or going back to his documentary, it's going to be better than he envisioned before. Why? Because the man changed and the man has more substance now. All right? More substance now. So all production plans were shelved due to the legal restrictions and to the negative press. These could have brought Jamaican street culture to a global Netflix level, it's true. But I'm sure that there's going to be more to come, and I'm going to tell you why. Right? Now, also, he was in talks with US and UK artists and producers to work on crossover projects. There was talks about him with A.K.A. Remember, A.K.A. was hot at that time, right? Pharrell too, and with Rihanna, right? Prison isolating him during the peak of dancehall pop fusion, right? And other artists like Popcorn capitalized on that space. These are facts. Go back into the history and look at it. I'm not making these things up, it's facts. Right? Being incarcerated blocked him from award shows, potential red carpet appearances. People might say it's hypothetical, but it is hypothetical, but it is also a fact. Right? BET was hot at that time, MTV, right? Global magazine covers that could have given dancehall more shine, right? He missed the window where dancehall artists were finally entering the global pop spotlight more, even more. These are facts. Go back in history and look at the times. Now, Cartel's creative fire didn't stop. He still dropped hits and albums from prison. But had he been free, his brand, Gaza's expansion, and dancehall's growth could have gone even further, even faster. Right? His jail time, people, listen to me. Listen to me, Fire Nation. His jail time cost not only years of freedom, but decades of opportunity for the culture. Now, in spite of, not because of jail, in spite of jail, Cartel continued his relevance. He released multiple charting albums and singles from prison, not because of prison, but in spite of being in prison. He used the technology and his team to maintain an online presence, not because of prison, in spite of being in prison. His fan base remained loyal and grew even stronger, not because of prison, but in spite of prison. Now, the Barclays Center, that was a milestone moment. I don't care who vexed, it's true. What does his success at the Barclays Center mean for dancehall? Dancehall on a world stage. That is a prestigious venue that amplifies the genre's credibility. That's why now a lot of the artists can even charge more. It shows the proof of the global demand. There was a high turnout for dancehall-centered events in the US, right? And it's a cultural victory for Jamaica. It celebrated Cartel not just as an artist, but as a movement. So it was more than just prison hype, right? Also, it's elevating Gaza's legacy. It solidifies Carter's influence as more than just a local star. It gives validation to his message and his supporters. And it shows that the Gaza culture isn't just surviving. The Gaza culture is thriving. Who don't like it, bite it. These are facts. Again, I'm telling you, facts, not feelings. And I'm going to tell you why it's going to continue thriving. Because I'm a woman that sees fire, and we're going to continue into this. Now, it boosts for the genre and for the youth. He inspires emerging artists, prove international success is possible while staying authentic. He is authentic. He don't have to sell out. And it proved that international success is still possible while staying authentic. He don't have to go out there and sing gun song if he don't feel like singing gun song. Okay? It increased interest from the industry. It's facts from the whole entire music industry. Major platforms are now taking dancehall more seriously. What do you mean by that, Miss Julia? Well, I heard that we might have our own thing in the Grammy. We might have our own actual name for dancehall, right? Because it's just another Mobo award. Okay, our nomination. All right. So we can't water down the thing. It's a win for the diaspora. Listen, the Caribbean Pride was on full display in New York. I wish I was there. It reconnected the younger generation with their roots. It helped unite fans from different countries around a shared culture. Cartel's journey from setback to global statement, Miss Julia's conclusion. Yes, jail slowed him down, but it never stopped him. His resilience is a part of his power. Barclay's success proves that dancehall is not just alive. Dancehall is evolving. Now, the diaspora theory. Why this resonates globally. I'm going to go deep into this. Why it resonates globally. I like this picture. Jamaica strong. Yeah, Jamaica. Remember again, I told you before, go back to the diaspora meaning. This is just briefly. Diaspora means the dia across, spora is seed, scattered seed. We are the scattered seeds. All you people in the UK, America, Canada, England, wherever, you're the scattered seeds from the Jamaican roots. Right? The diaspora audiences, we connect deeply to survival stories, identity preservation, and reinvention through hardship, because this is dancehall. Again, this is dancehall. That's why I did the meaning of dancehall as a building block, because we have to get those building blocks straight before we continue to have meaningful conversations. All right? Cartel's journey mirrors the diaspora experience itself. Why the diaspora is responding strongly? Prison equals the systemic struggles. The survival is cultural resilience. The transformation is victory without erasure. We don't see hype. They see themselves in what's going on right now with Mr. Palmer. All right? Now, I do have a prison hype reflection here. Hold on, let me find it. Because I had it, and then because of the fact say I had to change the computer, right? I lost it. But I do have a reflection that I wrote, and I want you guys to listen to me when I'm telling you what I'm telling you. Can you guys still hear me? When you can still hear me, what's my password for this thing? Yes, don't forget it. Hold on. 1 second. Let me see for that. No, it's not. Hold on there. Hold on there. Hold on there. Hold on. Hold on there. Hold on there. Hold on, guys. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Oh, it better work. Because I'm about to say. Wow. All right, hold on a second, guys. I'm almost back with you. Update password. All right. Now, where was I? My prison hype reflection. Now, I want to clear something up with you guys. Again, prison doesn't make stars. Pressure reveals them. Plenty of artists went to prison, and most of them came out irrelevant. Prison, because prison alone does not create growth. Again, prison alone does not create growth. What people are responding to now is not a cell. It's his evolution. Cartel did not disappear. He did not freeze in time. Cartel stayed mentally sharp while the world kept spinning. This moment here, what Cartel is going through, people, is not about hype. It's not no prison hype. It's about survival without surrender. That is why he is dancehall right now. And that is what dancehall is. Survival without surrender. That is why it resonates, especially with people like me in the diaspora. Because we understand what it means to carry your identity through hostile systems and come out changed but not erased. This isn't a prison story. This is a human story. And that is why it lasts. Okay? That is why it lasts. Good night, Luke Clark. Good night. All right. So now we're going to continue. This is why his transformation matters. You remember the redemption narrative? Redemption song. Vybz Kartel's transition from prison to a reformed individual is a powerful redemption story. It's not just about his comeback as an artist, no. It's a testimony of overcoming personal demons and mistakes. For many of his fans, this is not just about his music. It's about witnessing the transformation of someone they grew up with. That is what it is for me. I'm telling you my truth, and I'm telling you the truth of many other people. From bad man to family man. All right? Kartel has publicly apologized for his past mistakes. What more you want the man to do? I don't know. And let me tell you the best apology. The best apology is not mouth. It's change behavior. Everybody can see the change behavior in Kartel. Expressing regret for glorifying violence. He has done so. His story shows that no one is beyond redemption. Everybody can be redeemed, people. And it inspires many people to believe they too can change. And this is why I'm a fan of the person. Because this is my message too. All those people that I help that went to prison and out of jail, I know that people can change. I know that life can get better. I know that people can improve. People can be poor and become millionaires in their family. His story resonates with many young people in marginalized communities, offering hope and a message that even those who have gone down the wrong path can make amends and turn their lives around. No, I'm not talking about him admitting to any crime that he was in jail for, but the wrong path don't only start with that crime. The wrong path has a lot to do with who you were hanging around, your mindset, the things that you used to say. All of that thought vibration leads to the wrong path, leads to the action. And he has clearly changed all of that. If you guys follow Vybz Kartel on TikTok, every minute, ghetto youth. I'm telling no blah, 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 blah. I can't do his voice. I know. I can't imitate him very much. But you guys get the point. It's always an inspirational message. He is making his life make something. Right? Good. Carter's ability to stay true to himself, despite being incarcerated, right? That speaks volumes about resilience. His artistry, his music, and his brand of bad man persona, it continues to evolve, even from behind bars, right? His longevity in the music business, despite being imprisoned, it showcases an unbreakable spirit. Now, if an unbreakable spirit is not dancehall, then what is? We just spoke about what dancehall is. This authenticity made his comeback feel organic and genuine, which it is, which made people feel even more invested in his journey, which we are. The empowerment of his fans. Cartel's transformation is not just personal, it's shared victory with his fans. And I'm talking about all the people, even on YouTube, all the rest of people who are in Gaza Nation that wanted him to be free. Over the years, especially the Gaza movement, they feel very deeply connected to him. They view him not only as a musical icon, but also as a symbol of struggle and success. His rise from prison was seen as a victory from the underdog. For many of those people who are marginalized by society, he won for them. Many of his fans identify with his past struggles and believe that his transformation offers proof that people can rise above their circumstances. People, this is dancehall. Rising above your circumstances. He is proof of that. The impact beyond music. Cartel's story isn't just about music. We talked about this. Breaking free from a toxic environment. His journey offers valuable lessons, accountability for one's actions. He has taken accountability for the things that he has said and done in the past. The importance of learning from mistakes and the power of second chances. His transformation made him a role model for many people who feel they have no future beyond their past mistakes. That is why he comes out all the time and says, get a youth. Listen, believe in your dream. You can make it. Me not care who not like me. Me just go and show love. Little things like that. God is the greatest. Right? It gives hope to young people who might be on the verge of making dangerous decisions. That is what it is about. Cartel's presence both in music and in the cultural narrative shaped the dancehall community, which has long been a space for social commentary and expression of identity. Right? Talk about him being a reform figure. Now, his decision to turn a new leaf, adopting more positive, empowering messages in his music, it inspired a broader culture of conversation about self-improvement and growth, which is what this Blue Fire is all about. Why people feel they are part of his story and victory. Listen, do not be snobs, people. I don't care if some of these men on the platforms don't have as much education as you. I don't care if they don't sound as poetic as you. I don't care if they don't use the proper words. Listen to people. You can learn something. If you listen to the different men on the platforms talk, you will learn a lot. Don't be a snob. Respect them and listen. This is how I was able to see why people feel they're a part of his story and his victory. If you listen to these men talk, it gives you clues. They don't have to be talking proper English and they don't have to be using the right words. You know what they mean. Just be humble and listen. Luckily, you were able to get to get all the experience and all of that stuff for education, but listen to other people. Not because they're not educated mean that they don't have something strong to say. I told you already, my mother's mother, most of my wisdom, a lot of my wisdom come from her. And she couldn't even write a shopping list properly. That's my mother's mother. Okay? Collective movement. Cartel Gaza fans consider themselves part of his journey. His fans have been there through every high and every low. Right? And many of them feel they share the victory of his release. For them, his freedom is their freedom. His success is their success. If you listen to the men, you can hear them say it. You can hear them. They may not say it this eloquently, but you can hear it in their voice. You can hear what they're saying. That is what he means to them. Fans feel that in supporting him over the years, they helped fuel his return. These are facts. If you listen to them, right? They were supporting him over the years more than I was, because guess what? I was just a fan of his music. I wasn't a fan of the person, because I was never been a fan type of person like that. I didn't grow up in Portmore. I grew up in Vineyard Town, Kingston Tree. You understand? So I liked his music just like I liked everybody else's music. But when he came out, and when I watch him and I can actually see certain of the spiritual laws that I practice and the Masonic laws, and I'm watching this man climb the actual ladder that we talk about in Masonry, I became a fan of the person. There are not many entertainers I can say I'm a fan of the person. At all. Period. Now, if you listen to these men, you hear, right? His journey from prison to redemption wasn't just his personal journey. It was collective, because they went through it with him. Some of them actually want ball, but him almost never come out, because they thought that they were trapped too. They bought his music, they supported his project, and they believed in his innocence. A lot of them did believe in his innocence, and some of them didn't, but it didn't matter to them. These are facts. I'm not talking feelings here. I'm talking facts. A lot of them didn't believe he was innocent, but still wanted him to come out. And then there are some of them who did believe that he was innocent. There's social media solidarity, right? So that made them feel like they were actively participating in the campaign for his release, right? In essence, they walked with him through his struggles. That's why he's so important to a lot of the Gaza people. It's not prison hype. Listen to the men talk. Actually listen. Shared struggle and empathy. Many of Cartel's fans came from similar backgrounds. These are facts. Areas marked by poverty, violence, and limited opportunities. Cartel's story of survival and his turnaround, it speaks to their own experience. Listen, everybody wants a better life, unless you're an idiot. Everybody wants a better life, right? They see themselves in him and his transformation. For many people, Cartel's triumph over adversity feels like it's for them. They feel like it's for them personal victory. All right? And they feel like they too can overcome their struggles by following his lead. And you hear them. Sometimes they say, I don't care who don't like me, but it's like go and show love. Right? They're listening to him. And sometimes you hear them say, all right, we just focus. We focus. Right? They're following his lead. That's influence. And it's going to lead to impact. But let's continue. We're gonna get there. Now, guys, yeah, it might seem like a long live. We soon finish. That's why I had to do it in 2 different lives, because of the fact that I have to do it justice. Right? We have to do this justice. And I'm going to be thorough and surgical. A lot of people believe in his innocence. Right? All who supported him through his legal battle, they viewed his freedom as a justice win for the underdogs and for the marginalized communities. Why? Because the court did mishandle the case. Right? And his release was symbolic of triumph against the system, which is what dancehall is. Triumph against the system. Poor people fed up because the system shake up. I know people don't like Bounty Killer right now, but listen, you can't deny his contribution. And the fact that he was the voice for poor people. Things change, but we still honor the past. People get married and then they get divorced. But the love was there. Things change. That don't mean that they wasn't married or they wasn't in love before. But things change. So for his fans, it was an affirmation of the idea that truth will always come to light and no one stays down forever. The truth for them was the system was shake up. It's true. They mishandled the case. And he beat it. These are facts. Not dealing with feelings here. Cartel's return from prison is akin to the return of a legend. Even not a return. I don't want to say return because it's a continuation. For his fans, again, his story is their story. That's not prison hype. The connection was bound him. The connection bound him to his audience. His music, filled with an authentic, raw energy, becomes the voice of an era. His return is like the return of that voice. Right? It gives meaning to the collective struggle of his fan base. You listen to these men, you'll hear it. Turning over a new leaf is not reinvention, it's refinement. And we're going to talk about that when it comes on to alchemy. You guys wanted me to talk about alchemy. This is perfect timing for me to teach about it. What many people, Miss Julia included, are sensing is not a new character. No. It's a more distilled version of himself. Yes, the pun there was intentional, as in his rum, right? So I put distilled there. You get it? Well, I have to make it fun for myself. So I laughed. I don't care if you laugh or not. Whatever. I'm going to say it again because I enjoy it. What many people, Miss Julia included, are sensing is not a new character, but a more distilled version of himself. Unintentional. Yes. Less chaos, more clarity. Less reaction, more intention. Less performance of power, and more embodiment of it. Before, you saw those eyes that I showed you before? That those ego eyes, those hurt eyes? That was performance of power. Now, he's in the embodiment of power. And we're going to go into that. It's not the denial of the past. It's integration of what the past was to who he is today. Miss BlueFire's finale. Listen, people. Prison hype creates headlines. Growth creates respect. I'm going to say that again. Prison hype creates headlines. Growth creates respect. Cartel's success isn't about where he was. It's about who he became. Cartel's freedom is not just a moment. It's a new chapter in dancehall. Watch him closely. It's a new chapter for everybody. Everyone from the youngest youths to the oldest veterans, we have felt the shift. Some of my Masonic brothers, they have felt the shift. So my elder Masonic sisters, they can see the shift. We all agree he's climbing that ladder to enlightenment. We all agree on that. We can all see it. He's reminded the culture what greatness looks like. And no one wants to be seen as average anymore. These are facts. Listen, there are some people that enter a space, you see, that make other people raise their game. These are facts. I've done it. Not tooting my own horn. But I've entered the business game, even with breathalyzers or certain things, and it challenged the status quo. It make other people start perform better. Because it raises the bar. Right? These are facts. There are some people that enter blogging world and you find that other people start improving them intro, them outro, them middle show. Right? They start becoming more entertaining. Why? Because there are some people that are catalysts in every industry. So when Cartel came back and remind and show the different type of greatness, no one wants to be seen as average anymore. Right? Now we're gonna go into the spiritual alchemy. Let me check on you guys to see if you guys can still hear me. Hold on. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Can you guys still hear me? Are you still there or people leave? Can you still hear me? Somebody type and tell me if you can still hear me, please. So I'm not talking to myself. Hello? Hello? Can you hear? Oh, go on, yes, sir. Yes, okay. Thanks, TG. Thanks, Philip. Everybody gonna sleep. I put you to sleep. Okay. Oh well, it's going to be on the playback, so I can come back and watch it. Thank you. I'm glad that you can still hear. Right? Now, make we talk about the spiritual alchemy. Spiritual alchemy explained in real terms. Alchemy isn't about pretending the past did not happen. That's not alchemy. Alchemy is about transforming what was heavy into something useful. That's what alchemy is. Right? That is what spiritual alchemy is. Let me give you an example. All right. For instance, I give you one that I practice. My brother was killed in 2016. Was the closest thing to me. Okay? A lot of times, the grief and the pain comes up. It can be destructive. But guess what? You sit with that grief, you sit with that pain, and you turn all of that into gratitude. Gratitude at the fact that I had a brother like him. Gratitude that I had him for so many years. Gratitude at the fact that he made such an impact on my life. Gratitude that he was. And gratitude that I still have his memory. That's alchemy. Turn your grief and the loss into gratitude that it even happened. That's an example of spiritual alchemy. Now, Cartel spiritual alchemy. Alchemy isn't about pretending that the past didn't happen, as I said before. It's about transforming what was heavy into something useful. Cartel shifts reflects classic alchemy stages. And we're going to talk about the classic alchemy stages that it reflects. Pressure instead of escape. Prison stripped away the noise, the ego inflation, the external validation loops. What remained was the self, unfiltered. Yes, wrong pun intended. Pressure like that either breaks people or it forces them to self-confrontation. Pressure either break you or make you, people. He appears to have chosen the second path. Now, from external power to inner authority. Before, his power was dominance, visibility, and reaction. That's the cartel before. Now, his power is restraint. You don't hear him saying a lot of things that he used to say. Composure. He's not answering a lot of people who try to diss him. And self-mastery. Everything that he does is timing. That transition is spiritual. It's not cosmetic. That's not something that you can fake, people. You cannot fake. That's why I keep telling you every time. There's certain things you cannot fake. You can't fake your exercising on yourself. You can't fake reading. You can't fake certain inner work that you do because it shows up in your reaction. People instinctively recognize when someone no longer needs to prove who they are. It's not cosmetic. It's not something that he's putting on. It is who he is now. Now, speech with weight and not fireworks. What I mean by that? There's noticeable changes in his pace of speech, his tone, and his choice of words. Yeah. What does this suggest? He reflects before he expresses. There's awareness of consequences, right? And that's a man who's listening as much as he's speaking. The other day when he did a interview with Drink Champs, I think, and he said, "Oh, my fan base is like the beehive on weed." You notice he never say the beehive on crack, right? That is thoughtfulness. Most people would have said beehive on crack, but in not going to this in Gaza Nation, and you know that our culture we don't deal with nothing other than weed, right? So he was very careful to say the beehive on weed, right? Most people to amplify something, they will say whatever on crack because it amplifies. It's like an amplifier, right? But he didn't say that. That is awareness of consequence. That is reflection before expression. That's somebody who is listening as much as he's speaking. And that's just one example. That's just one example. But that was very smart. Right? If never this, his supporters on top about them the pan crack. Even though that's an expression. Whatever on crack. He said the beehive on weed. You have to look at certain things like that. Now, this is authentic. It's not PR. What is PR? You know what PR does? PR tries to erase the past. That's what PR does. PR, take it from somebody who knows branding. PR tries to make you forget about the past. Cover it up. That's what PR does. But this shift acknowledges what happened without him being trapped by it. He doesn't over-explain. He doesn't posture repentance theatrically. Right? He doesn't change redemption applause. He doesn't chase the applause. Instead, there's quiet alignment with who he is, and you can see it in how he speaks, in what he says, and how he's behaving. Listen to me. Quiet alignment is another thing that people cannot fake. It's not loud virtue signaling. There's loud virtue signaling, like, oh, I'm a super Christian, and I wear this big cross around my neck, and I donate everything. No, that's virtue signaling. Quiet alignment, it can be faked. There's a big difference. True change looks like there's fewer contradictions between the word and his presence. Fewer contradictions between word and presence. Less fragmentation of identity. And there's more coherence. That's what true change looks like. You walk, you talk. People sense that he's no longer fighting himself. That internal peace, it reads as external, it reads like growth, like the man grew up. He grew up. There are certain things that he used to do that he's not doing anymore. Certain things he used to say, certain people he used to answer, certain arguments he would probably get into that he's not doing anymore. And people try to bait him into it. What does that show? That internal peace, that shows growth. For many people, especially the diaspora communities, his journey mirrors a shared experience of harsh systems, loss of time, poor stillness, and the re-evaluation of self. We all have to go through that. Redemption stories resonate when they don't feel scripted. And to be honest, Cartel's story right now and his respect is earned. He's earning it. You cannot go around it. It's not prison. Now, before, his fire was explosive and it burnt outward, like a lot of ego-driven artists. Right now, it's controlled and he burns inward. He's refining instead of destroying. That, people, is spiritual alchemy. It's the same fire, but of a different purpose. People aren't responding to hype, we are responding to coherence. Cartel did not come out louder, he became clearer. That's not image rehabilitation. That is inner work becoming visible. And I said this. That is inner work becoming visible. And I know that because I know how to look with certain eyes. You have to be able to see it. Whoever have eyes to see, let them see. Violation, listen to me. Not every change needs a sermon. You don't need a pulpit. You can see the change if you watch the man. Some changes, it speaks through stillness, restraint, and presence. Some of the changes that you're going to see it because he's not acting, or he's not acting the way how he used to act before, and through his presence. So what people are witnessing right now is not perfection. I'm not saying the man is perfect, but he's aligned, right? And alignment is always recognizable to people who are spiritually inclined. These are facts. We can always see it. We can always see it. Right? So now, here is my Freemason lesson to you. Vybz Kartel's journey of personal transformation after his release. It aligns with several spiritual laws and several spiritual principles, particularly those related to manifestation and philosophies embraced by my fraternity, the Freemasons. While there's no direct evidence of Cartel being a Freemason, even though we could find out pretty easily, right? Or him practicing the teachings knowingly, he probably don't know what he's doing. The principles are often associated with Freemasonry, such as personal growth, enlightenment, and manifestation. It can be observed in his transformation, and it can be observed in his improvement in his life choices. Okay? These are facts, and I'm going to go through them for you and with you. Big up, big up. I'm glad that you guys still there and you're still enjoying the reasoning. That's great. Don't worry, people will look at it after, or even if they don't, listen, it's there. You guys can share it and send people to it. Right? Because this is what it needed. It really needed some thorough breakdown without a whole heap of noise and a whole heap of ego and back and forth. All right, let's continue. We soon finish. Thanks for sticking out with me, TG Media, Philip, and Kip Cartel. And I don't know who the next person is, but best upon yourself. Right. Now, these are spiritual laws that Freemasons can recognize clearly or should be able to. Right? There's the law of cause and effect, which is karma. Here's the principle. Every action has a corresponding reaction, either positive or negative. Cartel's transformation His early career was marked by controversial actions. That's true, including promoting violence, which many saw as negative. However, since his release, he has openly acknowledged his past mistakes, particularly the glorification of violence. By doing so, he is setting a new cause, one of reflection, personal growth, and responsibility. The positive effects of this new cause includes his increased popularity and respect as a reformed figure. That's the effect of the new cause. Remember, cause and effect. Here's the manifestation impact of that. By shifting his mindset and his actions, Cartel is aligning with higher vibrational energy. I can see that and I can feel that. As he works on bettering himself, his positive energy is manifesting positive outcomes, both in his career and his personal life. Who have eyes to see, let them see. I can see this clearly. My other Freemason people can see that clearly. Here is the law of vibration. Here's the principle. The principle of the law of vibration says everything in the universe is in constant motion and it has its own vibrational frequency. This is true. That's why different things have different colors, because they vibrate at different frequencies, right? That's why solid is different than gas, that's different than liquid, because it's all vibrating at a different frequency. To manifest a positive outcome, one must match the frequency of what they desire. These are facts. That's why your thoughts are very important. That's what we believe, and that's true. That's why thought vibration is a thing. Cartel's transformation, as Cartel shifted from controversial, rebellious figure to one who speaks of self-reflection and growth, his frequency also shifted. I can see it in his eyes and I can feel it. His energy, once associated with defiance and chaos, is now vibrating on a higher frequency. Cartel is now aligned with peace. He's aligned with self-awareness and personal accountability. Pardon me. These are facts. Now, what's the manifestation impact of that? Cartel's new frequency resonates with his goals of personal improvement. By becoming aware of his own energy and aligning with positivity, he is opening the door for better opportunities, both professionally and personally. Okay? That's the manifestation impact of him vibrating on a higher frequency. We're almost finished. Here is the law of correspondence. What does that mean? As above, so below. As within, so without. I say that all the time. This means that our external world reflects our internal state. That's what it means. Whatever you see on the outside, it is a reflection of what's going on with you on the inside. These are facts. So Cartel's outward success, his music and his influence, it reflects his inner change. As he is healed and evolved spiritually, his inner peace and his new mindset are now being mirrored in his professional and personal life. Let me tell you something, people. I always say this. This is why I said to you, nothing is above my peace. You know why? Because I know that peace and prosperity goes hand in hand. Nothing above my peace. Because as soon as you start messing with my peace, you're going to start messing with my prosperity. That's why I don't keep negative people around me. And as soon as I realize that you're negative for me, I cut you off. Because you're not going to mess with my prosperity or my abundance. Hell no. My God-given peace, man, woman, or child, nobody's above that. That's why it's good to love your own company. You can stand by yourself and you can stand alone. He's more involved in family right now. He's focused on his business ventures and he has shown interest in his health, aligning with his growth as a person. What's the manifestation impact of that? Cartel is beginning to see the external results of his inner shift, right? Increased respect from fans and an ability to make choices that reflect growth and a new sense of purpose. The law of polarity. This is another law. What's the principle of the law of polarity? Thanks for asking. Everything has an opposite, and both extremes are necessary for growth. Cartel's transformation. Cartel's story is a powerful example of contrast. That's the polarity. From his criminal activities in the past and his prison sentence to his newfound position as a reformed figure in society, the polar opposite. His past and his present are polar opposites. That has given him clarity and strength to appreciate his current state and to motivate him and other people towards positive changes. What's the manifestation impact of that? The contrast between his former self and his current self has provided him with the tools to manifest a better future. These are facts. The tools what him have never come out of thin air. It came from the dark night of the soul. You can look it up. The tools that he's using to manifest a better future did not come from thin air. It came from the dark night of the soul. You can look it up. His realization of negative aspects of his past now drives his positive actions and it shapes his decisions moving forward. That's why you find him not answering certain people that's trying to draw him into negativity. That's why you find him focus. Because he's building something else greater than music. What is the law of mentalism? This is the principle. The universe is mental and all is mind. Everything begins with a thought. You know, I always say that. Everything begins with thought vibration. These are facts. Everything that you guys see built, everything that you see, anything you can look at right now, the pen that is on your table, the table itself, all of that started out in somebody's mind. It started out as a thought, and then they put that thought to action and created it. Everything thought. That's why we always say, watch your thoughts, and thought vibration is real. So Cartel's transformation. Cartel's transformation from a controversial figure to one who seeks personal growth is rooted in his mindset. You cannot fake that, people. His decision to change his life came from a shift in how he perceived himself and how he perceives the world around him. By choosing to focus on positive thoughts and goals, he has begun to manifest a new reality. What is that manifestation impact? Carter's mental shift has become pivotal in his physical and spiritual transportation. He's trying to exercise and be better physically, right? He continues to develop a positive mindset, and his external reality is following suit. He's producing positive outcomes in his career, his personal life, and his health. You can't fake that. You cannot fake that. That starts from thought. You cannot fake that. The law of attraction. This is the principle. Like attracts like. What you focus on grows. I keep telling you this, you people this. What you focus on grows. Stop paying attention to what you don't want. Stop paying attention to the negative people. Stop paying attention to those people who are haters. More than likely, they're your fans. Trust me, I have a lot of haters. I don't care. My name is worded anyway. So the more they call my name, is the richer I become. So, anyhow, but what you focus on grows. Cartel's transformation. Cartel's decision to focus on creating a better future for his children and himself is a prime example of the law of attraction. His focus on family, his health, his prosperity is bringing him the resources, the support, and the opportunities needed to manifest these goals. If he was there sitting down on the corner talking about bad man thing, right? People would still scorn him. Nobody would want to put deals with him. Right now, I'm pretty sure there are people that want to tie themselves to him. There must be artists, big artists that want to call him to collaborate with him or go on stage with him. But he's building it himself. Now he's able, what he's doing right now is so that when he reaches the pinnacle, he can say, me and God alone. That is one of my mottos. That's why I don't tie my businesses to people, right? Or what people can promise me and stuff like that. No, because I don't want anybody to think that they can break me. Support is great. That's fine, right? Support is great, but I don't want nobody to think that they build me. Because people who build you can break you. Me and God alone, we're responsible. We accept the support. That's fine. This is what he's doing. As Cartel shifts his focus from the past and its negativity to the future and its potential, he attracts positive people like me. He attracts positive opportunities and circumstances that support his growth. That's the law of attraction in action, people. These are facts. Next, soon finish. The law of divine oneness. What is that, Miss Julia? Here's the principle. Everything is interconnected, and our actions affect the collective. It's a ripple effect. Okay? Divine oneness. We're all connected. Cartel's transformation, Cartel's journey is not just personal. It has a collective impact. That's what I just talked to you about with the Gaza people. His fans see his transformation as part of their own. When he changes and grows, the ripple effect reaches his community, his music, and the culture at large. That's why you find out that the Gaza people are talking about, you know, we just focus on the goals, right? Them get more serious about their business. They get more serious about what it is that they're doing and their goals. Why? Because they see a beacon of hope. Things don't happen in a vacuum. He's not just affecting himself. He's affecting other people, his fan base. He's affecting other people who would have lost hope. He's affecting other people to show that, you know what? I did it, you can do it too. That's the law of divine oneness. What's the manifestation impact? Gattel's growth reflects the growth of his fans and the larger cultural shift towards personal accountability and reform. People are changing, right? He's manifesting not just for himself, but for the greater good of the people who look up to him. That's why when you see him come out on TikTok and say, "Get a youth, listen to your dreams," or "Get a youth, pay attention, don't get into no mess," as a ripple effect of his mindset. That's a ripple effect of the thoughts that he is holding. He's giving those to other people and being a positive impact on them. Detachment from negative influences. There's a law of detachment. As he evolves, he's clearly moving away from toxic behaviors and toxic influences in his life. You see him end some friendships that were toxic. You saw that. By detaching himself from his old self, a self that was consumed by controversy, he creates a space for the new version of himself to manifest. One that is more reflective, grounded, and at peace. Remember, I told you, peace and prosperity goes together. You cannot go around it. And he now has an elevated purpose. Cartel's shifting priorities, focus on his family and his health and his legacy. It mirrors a desire to create meaningful, positive impact. His work aligns with positive vibrations. I can feel it. Those who have eyes to see, let them see. My 33-degree brothers can feel it too. We have had these discussions. So my elder sisters can feel it too. In contribution to his broader impact, showing others that true change begins with internal reflection. Why you think even on my Business Matters podcast, on the banner, you see the man take off his head and looking at himself? Go and look at my Business Matters podcast banner. What do I always say every week? It's internal reflection, right? It's internal reflection. All work is self-work. Nobody can change anybody else. We can give you the catalyst to change. We can probably inspire you to change, but the change is going to be up to you. These are facts. Now, I'm going to conclude, right? In conclusion, Vibes Cartel life transformation is not just about a personal journey. It's a profound manifestation of spiritual principles at work. As a Freemason, I can see this. In conclusion, Vibes Cartel's life transformation is not just a personal journey. It's a profound manifestation of spiritual principles at work. By applying the laws of attraction, mentalism, cause and effect, and all the others, Cartel has shown that true change requires internal work. It requires inspired action, and it requires alignment with a higher purpose. Cartel's story serves as a reminder that with the right mindset and with the right effort, anybody can change their path and anybody can create a new reality. These are facts. That's why we are here, to improve life for other people. Well, that's why I'm here. One of my reasons, one of my purposes in life. Tell you, mermaids lead people to the lighthouse, and we swim past sharks. We're almost done. Now, we're going to talk about the business leadership and the self-mastery time. True femininity, true masculinity, authority, and evolution. This is the leadership shift explained. Let me tell you about immature power. And you can see it on some of the artists. I don't need to call any names. You guys can look at it for yourself. Immature power, it means visibility. It means a reaction. It needs to feel like they're dominant. Mature power doesn't rush. And we don't explain. And we don't change validation. We don't chase validation. Tell you about mature power. We don't rush. What does that mean? We move when God tells us to move. That's why I always say we are God-led. We move when God tells us to move publicly. A lot of times we're moving privately and you don't even know it. We don't have to explain why we're doing what we're doing. Once we get the okay from internally, and once we check in with spirit, and once we check in with God that this is the right move, we move. If we like you, we might tell you, we might explain why we're doing so you can understand. But it's not your permission is not needed. We don't chase validation. That's why I tell you, I'm a truth dealer. I'll give you the truth. I don't care if you're vexed. If you're my friend, you won't vex for long. If you're vexed for long, too bad. But I'm giving you the truth. I don't need your validation because I'm internally validated. And I know that I'm God-led. Right? That's mature power. What people are witnesses is a move from external control, those eyes I showed you before, to internal authority. Lots of people wanted Cartel to do certain things when they come out, or to be certain ways when they come out. He never business about the validation. He's moving off of his internal authority. That's leadership evolution. You don't need a bag of people agreeing with you. I don't need a bag of people. Fire don't ask for permission. That's another thing why I'm fire. We don't ask for permission. We don't need a bag of people agreeing with us. Why? Because we know that bringing sanity to an insane world can make you sound like you're insane. So we don't care. 3/4 of the people don't even take time to think. And at least if I make a mistake, guess what? It was my mistake to make. I wasn't following people. I wasn't listening to them. I might take what you have to say under advisement, especially if you know more than me. But that don't mean that I'm going to follow what you're going to do. Or are you going to program me? Hell no. People always find that out the hard way with me. Too bad. At least now you know. And now you know. Now, here is modern leadership parallel. True leaders, we speak less and we learn more. We listen before we act. This live here took a lot of listening. I was listening a lot for a long time. That's why I said we need to get some building blocks straight, first and foremost. We regulate emotion under pressure. We do not give a damn. We don't care about people hauling and pulling you, or people's emotion flying, whatever. We deal with the facts. We deal with the facts, not the feelings. Fire Nation, this is the business crossover. I want you guys to understand this as my Fire Nation. The most dangerous fire is not the one that you see burning everywhere. You know, those people busybody them all over the place. That's not the most dangerous fire. The most dangerous fire is the one that's purposeful and directed. Why? Because the energy is concentrated and the energy knows where it's going. Just like I told you, when I was a little bit and they tried to hide matches from me. Luckily, I was smart and my brother had a magnifying glass. All I had to do is go out in the sun in Jamaica with a little piece of paper and the magnifying glass and burn that. Start my own little fire. Hide. Probably get beaten, but it don't matter. I was able to start my fire. That is energy. Directed, focused energy. Purposeful energy. That's dangerous fire. Anybody can explode. Not everybody can refine. There's a big difference. Anybody can make up noise and go on the most and explode and act like them is King Kong. But not everybody can refine and hit the target. This is important. Here is the business lesson. Because we're talking about the business of dancehall. We're talking about the business. Early stage, people burn low to be seen. They want to be seen. This is all with businesses too. The next stage, they burn focus to last. That's impact. That's how brands mature. That's how leaders mature. And that's how legacies are built. Let me tell you something about uncontrolled fire too. Especially with your mouth. Uncontrolled fire destroys opportunities. People think that, oh, just having fire in your belly is enough. No. It needs to be controlled and it needs to be on purpose. Uncontrolled fire, you're all over the place. It destroys opportunities. You burn your own bridges. These are facts. You guys can look at some of the dancehall people recently. That is happening too. But refined fire, it forges empires. With your refined fire, you build bridges. You don't burn them. Let me say that again. With refined fire, you can forge an empire. Wow, that rhyme. I didn't even mean that. Why? Because you build bridges. You don't burn your own bridges. You need to control your fire. Good. Now, listen. What people are responding to right now with everything I just taught you about spiritual and alchemy and the Masonic principles. What people are responding to right now isn't hype. It's harmony. Pressure did not erase Vybz Kartel. It concentrated him. It concentrated his focus. That's what you're seeing right now in the effect of the cause. Before, the fire needed to be seen. But now, the fire is doing its work. There is a difference, Fire Nation, between a flame that burns for attention and a flame that forges steel. Big difference. This whole thing here is not about pretending the past didn't happen. That's not PR. That's what PR does. Clean up, pretend the past never happened. Sweep it underneath the rug. This is not that. This is about extracting wisdom from the past. That is spiritual alchemy. Turning weight into grounding. Turning chaos into clarity. And turning survival into purpose. I'm telling you what I know, Fire Nation. There's a lot more to me than you guys might realize. I'm telling you what I know. Cartel didn't come back louder. He became aligned. And alignment is something that you don't have to announce. Why? Because people feel it. These are facts. People can feel it. Here we're going to tie everything together. The impact. He changed how dancehall thinks. Now next week we're going to go more into the impact of him and Sean Paul. Next week you don't want to miss, because next week is going to be a deep dive into impact and influence. Influence. He shaped who believed that they could try. The business. He proved that the culture can be owned. Spirituality. He refined the fire instead of feeding chaos. The same fire was higher temperature, different outcome. Now, Fire Nation, I'm going to go into what is impact and what is influence. Hi, Invest. Good to see you. Yeah, I had to start over because it was the sound was not working properly. Invest. Tomorrow we won't have business language class because this one here is the business of dancehall, which I just did. So tomorrow I need to actually do some actual work for my actual work. But next week we're gonna have part 2 of this, and then the other week we're gonna have part 2 of the business language class, which is the second Sundays. What is impact versus what is influence? I've said this before in a couple lives. I'm going to say it again. Impact is the effect that you leave. Impact is about lasting change. It's the footprint an artist or anyone leaves behind. It's measured in how the world is different because of them. It's deeper. It's often tied to emotions, movement, and cultural shifts. Example, Carter's impact. Okay, so he changed the sound and business of dancehall, right? Making it more globally recognized. And he has altered Jamaican culture itself. So even if he died tomorrow, God forbid, right? That's still left. All right? Now, influence is the power to persuade. Influence is about the control in the moment, And I'm going to explain to you in a different way. Let me explain it to you more clearly, right? No, it's how much someone can shape opinions, trends, and behaviors while they're active. It's more fluid. Someone can be highly influential today, but they can fade tomorrow if they start making moves. Now, let me explain the difference. I have a burn mark on my arm from when I was playing with fire a long time ago. A little small burn mark because it heals pretty fast. But you can still see a little bit of the burn mark. You see that mark was the impact of the fire. The fire itself, the fire flame, was the influence because it influenced my skin. That fire flame was what influenced my skin. What was left was the burn mark that's still there all these years left. That's impact. The fire flame was influence. It influenced my skin. It touched my skin. It transformed my skin. The mark that's left is the impact. That's the difference. That is why a lot of times influence itself leads to impact, but it doesn't have to. That is why influence is the control in the moment. That fire flame was in the moment, right? It's very fluid. And that is why some people can be influential today, but they don't have any lasting impact. If that influence of that fire on my skin did not leave a mark and it was gone, I could just tell you, oh yeah, I did get burned one time. I remember, but I don't remember where. But guess what? Every time I look at my arm, my hand, my forearm, I can see the impact of the influence of that fire. That impact is the lasting change. That mark is forever on my arm, unless I keep doing red light therapy and for more years to come. That's the difference. Again, sometimes, most times, the influence leads to impact. But not because there's influence today means that there's going to be impact tomorrow. It depends on how deep the influence run. It depended on how much that fire had burnt my arm. That fire on my arm influenced my arm with heat. That fire on my arm influenced my arm with heat. The mark that was left was the impact of that fire. If you don't understand what I'm saying, it's because you don't want to understand what I'm saying. It cannot get more simpler than that. Cannot. Now, talk about its influence. We're going to talk about this next week, right? Let's talk about the influence. Influence is the fire. Impact is the burn mark it leaves behind. Again, that's what I just said. Cartel has both impact and influence. And the impact will remain even if he doesn't record another song. These are facts. Right? Same with Sean Paul. We're going to go into that next week, so I don't want to talk too much about that. Now, the influencing context of music that refers to the power or ability to shape or affect the music, just like that fire shaped and it affected my skin with the heat, right? It affects the culture, the work of other artists, often creating lasting change or inspiration. The lasting change and the lasting inspiration is the impact. Again, influence leads to impact, but it doesn't have to. Unlike reach is different. Reach focuses on how widely something is spread, right? Impact speaks to the long-term consequences of that spread. Influence is about the direct effect an artist has on others as well, shaping the style, the genres, and even the societal attitudes. How deep that is will leave the impact. All right? Shaping trends. We're going to talk about this next week still, but right, the artists with influence are often responsible for setting musical trends, fashion trends, and even the attitudes, right? So Vibes Cartel influence on style and fashion slang and a whole generation of up and coming artists. That was influence, right? For instance, inspiring other artists. Michael Jackson, his influence can be seen in the way modern pop artists approach performance, choreography, and musical production. It's lasting, so his influence has become impact, right? He created a blueprint for the modern pop star image. That's impact. At first, it was influence, but he influenced them so deeply that the mark was left. That's impact, right? Influence can fundamentally change the course of a genre, and it can give rise to new genres, right? Kanye West, for example, he changed the way hip hop was produced. He incorporated new sounds and avant-garde ideas into his albums, and that not only affected hip hop but also mainstream pop and other genres. His influence came out to be impact, lasting change, right? Bob Marley's influence extended far beyond the music. His songs about freedom, unity, and social justice became anthems for anti-colonial and civil rights movements. What does that mean? That's impact. His influence on world politics and social activism, it still resonates today. What's that? His impact. The influence of the fire left the mark on my skin. The influence of the fire left that impact. The mark is still there today. In the difference, influence refers to the power to change or shape something, particularly in terms of style or approach. An artist's influence is about how other artists or the cultural movements are affected by its work. Now, the impact refers to the actual effect the artist has on society, culture, and the industry. What's left? The impact is more about the results, what's left, the lasting change that the artist creates after the artist dead and gone. The lasting change that that fire created on my arm after that fire is no more. That lighter, I don't even know where that lighter is anymore because it's done. But it left a mark on my skin. That's the impact. Influence is about the process. The fire burning my skin was the process. How the artist made others change and evolve. That's the process. What is left is the impact. That's why there are certain people that you can about them have influence all them want, like that girl Sexy Red. But she don't have no impact really. At least not for a long time. Right? In simpler terms, the influence is like the spark or the catalyst that gets other peoples to change. The impact is the lasting mark that shows what those changes led to. Okay, that's the impact. Big difference. Here's some more influence and impact examples so you guys can understand. Hendrix was one of the most influential musicians in rock history, Jimi Hendrix. His unique approach to guitar playing, his use of effects, and his stage presence, it even influenced countless guitarists like Eric Clapton and Kurt Cobain. But guess what? His style is still heavily referenced by modern rock and metal musicians. This is the impact. His experimental sound opened doors to new ways of playing guitar. That's impact. He influenced the musicians, yes, but it lasted and left a mark. That's the impact. The Beatles, that's another one. They were very influential in the 1960s, musically and culturally. Their approach to songwriting and album structure and studio experimentation that reshaped what could be done in popular music. That was their influence, but it lasted and they left a mark. That is their impact. Their influence can be seen in how artists approach albums as cohesive concepts rather than just a collection of songs. That's impact. They also help redefine the idea of rock band, and their impact can be traced in every pop and rock band since. That's impact. From their influence, it can still be traced even now. Beyonce, she has influenced not just music, but fashion, dance, and cultural movements. Her empowerment anthems like Run the World Girls and Formation, that has huge, what? Cultural impact. It wasn't just influence. All right? Impact. To the point where right now, when people still wear their braids a certain way, them say, oh, that's lemonade. That's still left. That's still impact on the culture. At first, it was influence. Why? Everybody started to wear them here in lemonade braids. You guys remember? That was influence. But guess what? It lasted to the point where now is an actual a cultural impact. Right? Her influence on performance and video production, right? Especially with her release of visual albums like Lemonade, like I said. It's a model for modern pop stars. That's impact, people. It's no longer influence only. It's actually impact. Right? Kendrick Lamar is another one. He has had massive influence on hip hop, using his platform to tackle important social issues like race, identity, and mental health. All right? His album, To Pimp a Butterfly, is widely seen as an influential work for the political messages and the musical experimentation. But guess what? It lasted, it left a mark. He has a lot of impact from that to Pimp a Butterfly. Now, why is influence so powerful? Why? Because influence create waves. It's in the moment. That fire on my skin created heat. That was in the moment. When an artist is influential, they create a domino effect that leads to other musicians and creators wanting to follow suit. That's influence. Because Julia jumped into the sea, she influenced other people to jump into the sea. Okay? That's influence in the moment. Right? Now, if everybody keep on continuing jumping in the sea after I gone, because of the fact that because of all the health benefits, that's impact. That's the mark that was left. The artist may not have had the most commercial success or global reach, but their influence can still transcend time, often guiding the future direction of the genre or even the industry. That's impact. How influence is felt in music, musical styles, from vocal techniques to instrumentation, or how a song is produced. Fashion and imagery, that's influence as well in the music. Again, we went over what is dancehall. It's more than just the sound, right? Artists often set trends in fashion, hair, and visual presentation. That defines the look of a genre and a subculture. There are social and political movements. Some artists are known for their use of the platform to raise awareness of social issues, leaving a legacy that goes beyond just their music, right? Influential artists often collaborate across genres, pushing the boundaries of what music can sound like and bringing cultures together. Now, in music, influence is about shaping trends, changing the standards, and inspiring others. It's the ability of artists to affect how other people create and think about music. That's influence. Impact, however, is about the lasting effects an artist's work has on music, has on culture, and has on society. The lasting effects, just like the lasting effect of that burn mark on my arm. Every time I see that burn mark on my arm, I remember I was playing with that lighter and it burned me. I can look at it and I can remember. That's the lasting effect. I've had other cuts and scrapes and I don't remember them. Why? Because there's no impact on my skin. It influenced me at the time. I got a cut, yeah. But there was no lasting change. There's no marks on my skin. Right? Now we're finishing now. So now I have some words of love and protection to you guys in the dancehall blogging community because I've been seeing some stuff that's been going on. Right? Let me see if you guys can still hear me. 5. Blessings, success over hype. Blessings, blessings. Now, you guys can share it. Tell whoever you need to tell. But I did check with my lawyer friend who's very litigious. And I don't want anything to happen to any of the dancehall bloggers in this space at all. My purpose is to uplift and to protect. You people are my people. I don't care what camp you come from. That's why on my thing, I said, I don't care what camp you come from. If you want to learn, you can come over here. Nobody's going to treat you badly over here. Because I see us as all one people. I don't care who you rep. I don't care who you hate. I really don't care. I do believe that people can improve their lives. Now, with that said, I don't want anybody's life to be ruined. Okay? Now, I'm going to say this. If you respect people, you respect their overall choice that they made. Even if you don't like the choice, even if you don't respect that they made the choice, even if you don't like the person or the choice itself, if you respect that person, I don't like her boyfriend, but you know what? I respect that she chose him. That's fine. That's my friend. I'm going to show him respect. Okay? There's a lot of people who did not like see them as a choice. These are facts. But they respect the fact that, okay, that's who Vibes Cartel choose. Just like a lot of you in your families. They have people, they have mates that you don't really like. You don't respect the choice, but guess what? You respect the person. So you say, all right, well, that's what you choose. That's what you choose. Okay? Now, I tuned into, and listen, Jadvice, Jerome, he is a really sweet guy. Always say that, you know what? He has never been mean to me, never been harsh to me. Right? He asked us to be judges. He put his he was on his platform publicly. I don't get into the mess. I don't get into people's back and forth. But this is protection. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I did ask my lawyer friend about it, who is very litigious, who I asked about all my cases. All right? The fact of the matter is, if Cartel choose Gaza Uncle to be his blogger, leave the man alone, let the man do his work. You cannot choose for Vibes Cartel. If Vibes Cartel choose them to be his wife, that is who you choose. Deal with it. If he choose Gaza Uncle, regardless if you hate him, don't like him, find him disrespectful, whatever you find from the past, I don't care about the past. If that is who the man chooses, that's who he chooses. Nobody can stop you from vlogging about Vibes Cartel. I'm not a dancehall vlogger. Nobody could stop me from turning on my page today and talk about Vibes Cartel and Sean Paul. Both. Nobody can. I don't need permission from anybody. Why? Because dancehall belongs to all of us. Turn on your computer and you can vlog about whoever the hell you want to vlog about. But you cannot choose for people. If Vibes Cartel choose Gaza Uncle, that's who he chose. You have to just deal with it and suck it up. No. Reason I'm saying this is because Jadvice made a vlog and he invited us to be judges. I asked on that vlog, do you want my unbiased opinion? A solution-based opinion? He didn't answer me. Meaning to me, the meaning that I gave that is he didn't want a solution. That's fine. You don't want a solution, but guess what? I'm still going to protect you because you've always been sweet to me and you've always been nice to me. And we have laughed on platforms together and we have reasoned on platforms together. And I checked with my friend who checks for all of my cases. Listen to me. I want you guys to look up tortious interference. Jadvice, he saw your videos. You're about 4 videos away from being on suable ground. These are facts. And I'm not going to go too deeply into it. And I did not look at anybody else's videos because I don't care, because I don't know them. I know Jerome. Jerome has always been sweet to me, and I'm looking out for Jerome. Jerome, if you hear this and vex and don't like me because of it, I'm sorry, buddy. But I'm going to look out for you anyway. Because why? You put it out public, so I'm going to talk about it on my platform public. Okay? In hopes that it will protect you. You are about 4 this is what he said verbatim, and I can get him on if you don't believe me. You are about 4 videos away from being liable for tortious interference. Look it up. Even if you don't have the money, if he sues you, there are certain things that he can do in America, which is called writs of execution. Writs of execution mean he can seize your house, they can seize your car, they can seize your assets, they can seize your children's school fund for the college in the future to pay off the legal woes. Right now, you're still safe, basically, because I showed him and I asked him, right? You made your channel public and you invited everybody to be judges. So yeah, I did show him in protection of you. You did not want my solution. Fine, you don't want a solution. I'm going to give you a warning. What he says is you're about 4 videos away from having tortious interference. Look it up. Also, there's a thing called defamation per quad. Right? Doesn't matter if you change the person name to Catty, Piggy, Goatee. Once people know who you're referring to, it's still defamation per Look it up. No, the reason I'm saying this is because I do not want anything to happen to any vlogger on these YouTube streets. We're all Jamaican people. We're all trying to, all of you are trying to do your best and make a living. Okay? Yes, dancehall can be tribal, just like a lot of things in Jamaica. Politics is tribal too. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, we are Jamaican people. If a country tries to invade Jamaica, the whole of we are going to fight for Jamaica. Right? I don't care about what this man did in his past. That's not my business. Clearly, Cartel don't care enough because he still chose him. Leave the man to make him do his work. You cannot choose for people. These are facts. You guys don't like it. I'm not talking about feelings here. You guys don't like it. That's too bad. I'm telling you facts. You cannot choose for people. If that is who he chooses as his blogger, leave the man to make him do his work. Because right now, you're almost on very suable ground. And I'm telling you this out of love and out of protection. Because I see what's going on. And you invited people to see what's going on. Leave the man alone, make the man do his work. I don't care about what happened in the past. I don't know what happened in the past because I wasn't around on YouTube. And I don't get involved in the mess. I don't. But to save your money, I did check with my friend. And he did say you're about 4 videos away from being on suable ground. Be careful. Leave people alone, stay in your own lane, and do your work. We don't need all of this back and forth. Now, I'm going to see you guys next week, Sunday, for part 2, the business of dancehall. Right? We talked about what it is that we're going to be talking about there. This week, we covered what is dancehall, the foundation as a building block. We talked about meaning of diaspora. We talked about label hype. We talked about prison hype. We talked about cartel spiritual alchemy. We talked about the spiritual laws Freemasons can recognize clearly. We talked about what is impact versus what is influence. We talked about my words of love and protection to you guys because I don't want to see anything happen to any other men in the space or women. I don't want to see it. Not while I'm around. I will protect you guys. Even if you don't like it, I don't care. I may not comment on it, but I'm going to protect you as best I can. Because you belong to me in my mind. Next week, what we're going to do, we're going to recap what is impact and what is influence again for the new people that are going to tune in. We're going to go to reach versus impact because there are different things. Next week, we're going to talk about reach versus impact. Next week, you don't want to miss, we're going to talk about Sean Paul's impact and his influence. We're also going to talk about Cartel's impact and his influence. Next week, we're going to talk about Sean Paul's impact versus Cartel's impact. Next week, we're going to talk about Sean Paul's influence versus Cartel's influence. We're going to also talk about, is Sean Paul more successful than Vybz Cartel? We're going to break that down. We're going to break that down. And then we're going to talk about the pen versus the performance. So next week is going to be great, people. I look forward to seeing you next week. Again, tomorrow we will not have our usual live because we had it today. It was a very long one. It was still business matters because the business of dancehall. Next week we have part 2. And then the next week after that, we're going to go back to business language class. Bless up, everybody. Hi, Miss Jacobs. Big up everyone. Thank you, Misty, and blessings, Misty. I love you for being here always. Blessings to everybody. So we're gonna see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Share this live and refer to this live because there's a lot that's been missing in the space. Sometimes the space just needs a woman's touch. Isn't that right? And yeah, Miss Jacobs and yeah, Miss T, you all know That when we make it good for women, we make it good for every woman, not just for me. Blessings, everybody. Love you guys.